Welcome to this tutorial called Inset Text. It's going to look something like this, where we have the word Victoria, and we have School of the Arts, and the typography is inset. You can see that that yellow face is pushed in a little bit, and it's quite easy to do. There's some texture on the outside as well as the inset part, and there's texture on School of the Arts as well as the floor. There's a light that's casting a shadow, and yeah, that's about it. That's the elements here. So you start with a new file, and you're going to click and hold on this. All of these little tools in here are ways to create objects, but this one right here is called the text tool. And excuse me, when you create text, it doesn't actually show up. It does not show up. So you have to do one thing to it. You have to add an extrude NURBS. So I'm going to throw this extrude NURBS inside, the text inside of the extrude NURBS. And you do that by clicking, dragging, and that black arrow points down. And now it's inside. And now you can see I've got some depth. And when I click the render preview button, there it is. It shows up. But of course, I don't want text. I want to change this. So I'm going to change this to Victoria, like so. And I'm actually going to change this typeface to something a little thicker, something heavier like Impact, which is up here. There we go. Nice, heavy font face. And you can actually change the size of it by height. I'm just clicking on the two arrows here and dragging up and down. But I'm just, whoops. I'm just going to leave it like that, but not Optima. Sorry. Back to Impact. There we go. I'm just going to leave it at 200 centimeters. That's fine. I'm going to add a texture. So I'm going to go down here, Create, New Material. And I'll double click right on this little circle, this ball. And I'm going to pick a color. So I have to have color selected. And then I'll go in here and, yep, I'll find a nice red. There we go. Click OK. Close this window, and I'm going to drag right on Victoria or onto the extrude NURBS, one of the two. And it should show up here, right there, right next to extrude NURBS. The next thing I'm going to do is select extrude NURBS, and I'm going to go to caps. And the starting cap is going to be fillet cap. But before I do that, I'm just going to zoom in on the side here. There we go. So right now it's got a very sharp corner here. But when I change this starting to fillet cap, I get one edge here. One edge, just like that. And it's got one step to it. And if I click, again, it's got two steps. So it looks a little more curved. Okay. If I want to do that, the same thing to the back side of my typography, back here, then I would go to the end and change that cap, but I'm not going to. And I'm going to leave it at 1 as well. But I'm going to go down to fillet type, and I'm going to go to engraved, right at the bottom, engraved. And let go. And now, hopefully you can see that my typography has now been inset. So that face has been pushed in. I'm going to actually break this apart. So I'm going to get a whole bunch of different faces. And I do that by making it editable. I'm going to make sure that extrude NURBS is still selected. And I'll click this button right here. And it closes off my text, but it creates two different things here. It creates cap 2 and cap 1, like so. I'm going to throw another color on cap 2. So I'll go create, new material, and this color I'll make yellow. So I'm going to click right there in the little rainbow, click OK, close the window, and throw that on cap 1. There we go. Do a render preview. Not too bad. Depending on what typeface you choose, notice how it's kind of messed up my R. Hasn't messed up any other letters, but I'm okay with that. Don't worry about that. Not going to be too concerned about that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a floor. So click floor. There's a floor. And notice what's happened here. My floor is at 0, 0, 0, 0 along the XYZ coordinates. That's where it sits. But because I've expanded my typography with that fillet cap, it's now sunk below. It's sunk below. So I need to raise it up. So I'm going to select my extrude NURB, and I'm going to slide this up, put it up on the floor. Just like that. Good. Looks good. Now, need Victoria. Oh, I'm going to double click right here on extrude NURBS. And I'm going to call this Victoria. That way I know exactly what I'm selecting. I'm going to create some more text. You can see it right there. Go to Object, and this one will say School of the Arts. And let's see. I'm going to leave it with this typeface. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like that for sure. But I'm going to add another extrude NURBS. And I'll throw my type inside the extrude NURBS. I'm just going to rearrange. I'm not rearranging layers. I'm just rearrange them in order here so I can keep organized. I'm not going to move this yet, though. I need to rotate it so it's laying on the floor. And I can do that by selecting the extrude NURBS, going to coordinates, and this box right here. I'm going to change that to -90, 90 degrees. And as you can see, my typography has been rotated, but it's flat in the floor. It's just stuck in the floor. So I'm going to move it. So I'm going to go to the top view here and select the green arrow and slide this out. And then I'm going to move it up. So I just have to find, there it is, and I'll move it up. So it's just kind of on the floor, and it's a little big. So I'm just going to go back here to the text and go to Object, and I'm going to drag this down like so. I'm going to have it a little bit wider than Victoria as a design feature, but that's okay. I don't mind that at all. I'll create one more material here, and I'll double click, and you know what, I'm just going to leave it as it's supposed to be white. But it's not quite white, so I'm going to change that, and I'll drag and drop right on my School of the Arts. So I'll just double click on the extrude NURBS and change it to Arts so I can see what that is. There we go. Now I'll click this perspective portal and render preview. That doesn't look too bad. Not bad at all. I need to add a light though. Gonna add a light. So click and hold, make sure that I'm grabbed this light. Don't worry about the other lights, just this one that says light. And as you can see, it's buried in the floor right underneath Victoria. So I need to move it out in front and then raise it up. Something like that. There we go. And I may move it back a little bit more. And I'm going to add a shadow right here. Shadow. Shadow map. And I'll click the render preview. There we go. So I do have some shadow back there. I don't like the specular. It's a little hot. And I can lower the intensity, but I can also take specular off. That's not bad. It's a little dark in the background though. So what I'll do is I'm going to add another light or two back here. So I'll click this light, move it to the back, move it over, and I'm going to raise it up out of the floor like so. But I'm going to bump down the intensity. I'm going to make it like, I don't know, maybe 30%. And then I'm going to duplicate it. And you duplicate things by clicking in the object box up here, the objects palette, pardon me, and then holding the control key and then letting go of the mouse. And now I've got light number 2, which is the exact same location as the first one. And I'll just slide that over here. And hopefully what I get is a little more brightness. It's not as bright as I think it should be, so maybe I should bump it up to, maybe I'll try 50%. 50% and 50%. And then see what happens. There we go. That's a little bit better. Not bad. Okay. Good. Okay. One last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to create a new material, just like I did with the lights. I can click and drag and then hit the control key. And now I've got another material in it, but I'm going to open this one up and go to reflection and check off reflection. Reflection at 100% is like a mirror. I don't need that. So even 50% is probably going to be pretty reflective. But I'm going to drop that right onto my floor. And now we'll see what's going on. There we go. Like it. I can go back to arts and I can open this up. No, I don't need to open it up actually, because I've got the extrude NURBS there. I'm going to go to caps and I'm going to do the fillet cap. And I'm going to bump this up a couple times just to smooth out the top there. There we go. That doesn't look bad at all. So of course you're going to save this, right? And of course you're smarter than me. You've been saving this all along. You're going to save it to your desktop. You're going to give it a name. You're not going to save it to your desktop. You're saving it to your F drive. And you're going to give it a name like first name, space, last name, Inset Text, and save. Okay. But to render this out, we need to click Edit Render Settings. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to open this preset up. Output, I'm going to go to Screen, and I'm going to make this 1280 by 1024. And I'm bumping up the resolution to 200. And how's that looking? That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to click Save. And I'm going to save this by clicking these 3 dots. And I'm going to go to my F drive again. And I'm going to call this Rob Wallace Inset Text. But I'm not going to put an extension on. So not .jpeg or .anything else. Just the name. Click Save. And then I need to change the format to JPEG. Right there. JPEG. Good. Not bad. And then I'm going to close this. I changed the size of my stage. So this darker gray on either side, that's where it's going to get cut off. So the 1024 is my height, but the 1280 is from this point to this point. So I might move this back a little bit, like so. That looks good. And once you've got that set, then you can click Render to Picture Viewer. And it's going to render out my image right here. And it's already saved to my F drive. So when I'm done, I just close the window and I could submit that file, which is in my F drive, to Moodle. Okay?